Okay, in this video I'm going to do a couple of implicit techniques on slightly harder questions, and these questions are slightly harder because you could not use explicit techniques here even if you wanted. So here's an example of a question that explicit techniques won't work. I'll just demonstrate very quickly at the side of the page over here why explicit techniques won't work. If you were to rearrange this, let's leave the x cubed y where it is, plus the y squared, leave those two terms on the left, and take the x squared to the other side, you get 4 minus x squared. And then what I could do to try and isolate y on its own is take out a common factor of y from this. So if I take out a common factor of y, I'm going to get x cubed plus y equals 4 minus x squared. And then a lot of people think, well, why can't you leave the y there and divide both sides by the bracket? So you get 4 minus x squared over x cubed plus y. There you go. Y is the subject. No, it's not, because you've got another y on the other side. And when you're changing the subject to get y equals, you must have this purely in terms of x's, and we've got a y there. So this technique does not lend itself to explicit techniques because you've got a y on both sides. Now there are other ways you could try rearranging the algebra to try and get to y on its own, but you'll find that the way that we have done the algebra up to now, there are no techniques we've got to get y on its own. So this technique is a waste of time. You couldn't even do it if you wanted to. However, the question is telling you anyhow, do it by implicit techniques. So here we go. Differentiate x squared with respect to x, you get 2x plus. Now this here is a product of two functions of x. X cubed is a function of x and y depends upon x. So that's going to be a product rule. So I'll do that at the side of the page. Okay, I'll just write this here, x cubed y, and I'm going to do a product. U is x cubed, v is y. Du by dx from power method is 3x squared, and dv by dx is simply dy by dx. You differentiate that with respect to x. Product rule is u dv by dx plus v du by dx. Let's sub the four things into this formula, and we'll put the answer underneath this. So u dv, u is x cubed, and then dv by dx is dy by dx, plus v du by dx. V is y, du by dx is 3x squared, so v du by dx is 3x squared. So I'll put it in a bracket, 3x squared. So when you differentiate that, you actually get those two terms, that and that. Okay, next, plus. You've got to differentiate y squared, function of a function. Y is a function of x to a power 2 function. Power 2 to the front, power goes down by 1, go inside the bracket which would be the y, differentiate, you get dy by dx in a similar way that we've done for several other questions recently. Equals, so this is 2y dy by dx for that. And then differentiate 4. Please don't forget, you can't leave that as a 4. You've got to differentiate the number 4 with respect to x, you get 0. It's a big mistake not to change that to 0. Okay, next, you collect the dy by dx's together. There's one there and there's one there. So you collect them together, just like when you're solving a basic Year 8 equation, you collect the x's together on one side and everything else on the other side. So x cubed dy by dx stays put on the left. This thing plus 2y dy by dx stays put with it on the left. They are dy by dx terms. Everything else goes the other side. 2x goes over and makes it minus 2x. And this is 3, if you think about it, 3x squared y, if I put it in the right order. Take it over, you get minus 3x squared y. Okay, if I just box that off so it doesn't get in the way. So looking at that, we've nearly finished the rearranging now. What we need to do now is take out a common factor of dy by dx, leaving you inside a bracket as x cubed plus 2y. That times that is that. That times that is that. On the right hand side, if you can take out a common factor on the right hand side, you should do so. Now there is an x in both terms, but there's also a negative in both terms, so I'll take the negative x out. Inside the bracket, you'll have a 2. That times that is that. Plus minus x times, well, you need a 3, you need another x, and you need a y. So that times that is that, and that times that gives you that. Okay, finally divide both sides by this bracket. So you get dy by dx is equal to minus x bracket 2 plus 3xy, that's that, and all divided by x cubed plus 2y, like so. And there's the final answer for dy by dx. Now this here, be careful, is a single big nasty looking fraction with x's and y's in. That's fine, you don't need to get rid of the y's. Also, don't be tempted to try and start cancelling x's there and there. You can't cancel, when you got something plus something like that, you can't just cancel, divide that by x and divide that by x, or divide that by x and divide that by x. It doesn't work like that. So don't start cancelling like that. So there is the final answer. And that's the end of that question. Okay, I'll do one more similar to this sort of setup where you can't rearrange it and do it explicit techniques. So you might have something like this. You might have something like y squared minus xy plus 7 equals 3x. And you might be asked to differentiate that implicitly. Okay, so implicitly, let's do it one at a time. Differentiate y squared with respect to x. It's function of a function. Y is a function of x raised to a power 2. Power to the front. Power goes down by 1. Go inside the bracket. Well, remember, it's like y in a bracket being squared. So we've done 2 to the front, power goes down by 1. And then you multiply by, and you go inside the bracket, y, differentiate with respect to x, you get dy by dx. So we get that. So we get 2y dy by dx. That's what you get for that. Now most people, when they do these questions and they see y squared, differentiate it with respect to x, they just learn off by heart. It's 2y dy by dx every time. And then in a similar way, if you had y cubed, you'd get 3y squared dy by dx. And people would just learn it off by heart. Okay, so 2y dy by dx for that. Take away. Now be careful. This second term is harder. And you've got to be careful because, yes, it's going to be a product rule. Similar to x cubed y, when I did it up here, x cubed y was a product rule. So this is going to be a product. Okay, but it's got a take away in front of it. Now you've got to be really careful. Now my advice would be to put the takeaway straight down and then put a big square bracket where you're going to put the result of the product rule in. So what I'm going to do is forget about the minus in the product rule and just put xy and do this at the side of the page and put it in the bracket. But then you're going to multiply everything by the minus outside afterwards, which will obviously mean minus times this quantity and minus times the second quantity from the product rule as well, which is a big mistake that people make sometimes. Okay, so let me just rule this off. I've got xy to do, so I'll put a little heading, xy, and I've got to use the product rule on it. U is x, and the v is the y. Du by dx for the product rule is 1. dv by dx for the product rule is dy by dx. And the product rule is u dv by dx plus v du by dx. So that's the product rule in action. So let's do it. U is x, so inside the square bracket, remember inside the square bracket is going to be the xy, the minus is outside, so we'll deal with the minus afterwards. So u dv, u is x times dv by dx, x times dy by dx. Let me say it again, u is x, dv by dx is dy by dx, so we get that. Okay, plus v du, v is y, times du by dx is 1. So you get that. So this here is inside the square bracket when you differentiate it. The minus remains outside. The minus is still outside. Next, plus 7. Differentiate it, you get plus nothing. Equals, now differentiate 3x on the right hand side with respect to x, you get 3. So we end up with that. Now what I suggest you do now, before you do anything else, is to expand out the negative with the square bracket product rule you've just done. So 2y dy by dx at the front stays the same. Minus times that, you get minus this. Minus times that, you get minus y. Plus 0, forget about it, equals 3. Now what we can do is collect the dy by dx's together on the left. So you get 2y dy by dx minus x dy by dx on the left, and on the right the 3 stays put. Take the minus y over, you get plus y. Take out a common factor of dy by dx. 2y minus x equals 3 plus y. Put a bracket around that because what follows next? Divide both sides by this bracket. dy by dx is equal to 3 plus y in a bracket all over 2y minus x. Y's and x's in the answer. Don't need to get rid of the y's. That's the final answer. This is one big fraction and nothing cancels. You can't cancel those y's, it doesn't work. So there you go, there's the answer for dy by dx. And the point of doing this question is to make you aware that if you have got to use the product rule and there's a minus in front of it, I recommend you put the minus down first, put a big square bracket, and just do the product rule at the side of the page and put the answer in the square bracket, and then afterwards multiply it by the negative throughout. That will stop you making any silly mistakes as long as you remember to put the big square bracket in. There you go, there are 2 basic examples there, A-level standard questions, implicit techniques where explicit techniques would not work. And that's the end of this video.